Today I'm bringing you a quick roundup of some of the latest lawlessness happening around the Kinder Morgan work sites in British Columbia. It is complete chaos, and the Liberals and the NDP just don't seem to care. It's mayhem in British Columbia around the Kinder Morgan work sites there. It's a place where the inmates are now in charge of the asylum. Let me show you some of the most recent developments over the last couple of days, maybe a week. Now, on Monday, Global News visited the hobo squat these protesters call Camp Cloud at a Kinder Morgan pipeline work site in Burnaby, British Columbia. Now, one of Global's reporters, a guy named Jordan Armstrong, said his news crew was threatened with violence, accused of racism, and told not to film on public property where protesters had set up their messy little camp. One woman told Global News she disagreed with their coverage of the protests, accusing Global News of not being sensitive enough towards the protesters' side of things, saying, "People like you, who is probably third or fourth generation, you don't really understand the history of Canada and what's happened to the people here." Wow. You know what? I'm old enough to remember when everybody lost their collective minds, when a conservative politician made note of old stock Canadians a few years ago. Now, that same woman went on to say, you need to start covering that and talking about the truth and exploiting the water defenders here, because calling Indigenous people protesters is offensive. It's offensive and not respectful. I'm not sure what her argument is here. Is it that only Aboriginal people are allowed to break court injunctions? Because that's probably racist, you know. Another woman said the reporters were peeping Toms, and that's against the law. Well, you know what? That's not how reporting in a public place works. But on the other hand, I'm sort of glad these protesters are concerned with the law now, so I guess that's a good thing. One woman told Global News that no one has been violent toward anybody, and then she reiterated calls for the news crew to turn off their cameras. Right. Nobody's been violent towards anybody except for all those times the RCMP have been assaulted while trying to enforce a court injunction to keep these anarchist wackos away from the people at Kinder Morgan who are just trying to do their jobs. In fact, 3 officers were injured over just the course of 4 days in March. The attacks on the police officers included head injuries after being repeatedly kicked in the head and a knee injury. Oh yeah, but the squatting protesters, they love to have you all believe they're just peaceniks, swaying around a drum circle and talking about Mother Nature, except they're not sitting around a drum circle. They're sitting atop a piece of drilling equipment belonging to Kinder Morgan in the Delta, BC industrial park. Yep, that's right, more trespassing. 2 Greenpeace protesters have chained themselves and have promised to stay up there as long as possible because they want to, according to them, protect water and stop pipelines. And on Monday, a Kinder Morgan protester named Ian Angus pled guilty in British Columbia for violating a court injunction, and he received a $500 fine. He was just one of 175 people arrested so far at Kinder Morgan's 2 Burnaby work sites. And south of the border, anti-oil protesters are busy being annoying in Seattle, blocking streets and annoying people in front of the Chase Bank because apparently Chase finances energy projects. And what are Canadian leaders doing about all of this? A heck of a lot of nothing. Now, last month, Justin Trudeau talked about a law that he would enact to assert and reinforce the Government of Canada's jurisdiction over pipelines. But where is this law? And why isn't Premier Rachel Notley asking the same question I am? Where is this law? And will this law come in time to save Trans Mountain before Kinder Morgan's self-imposed May 31st deadline to make a decision on the project? I don't know about you, but I think it's already too late. For the Rebel.media, I'm Sheila Gunn-Reid. What you just saw there is my daily video that I do here at The Rebel, but I also have my own full-length show. It's aptly called The Gun Show, where we talk about issues facing Canadian families. But to get access to my show and the rest of our incredible premium content, treat yourself to a Rebel subscription today.